Hey dancers, welcome to another Yoga for Dancers session. If you have been here before, welcome back. It's been a minute since I've made another YouTube video, and if this is your first time here, what's up? My name's Roxie. So today's class is gonna be so good for your body and especially your fascia system. So before we get into it, I want you to grab some water and start getting really hydrated while I talk through what exactly we're going to be doing in this class to find more openness and freedom and ease in our body so that you can access deeper ranges of motion and increase your flexibility without stretching at all. So get sipping because the fascia system needs to be hydrated to be more open and loose and easeful for you to access deeper range. Also, you're going to need to grab a foam roller, and if you have a therapy ball, grab that. You can also use a tennis ball too, but something round of this size, preferably one of those rubber therapy balls. So in this class, I really want to focus on our legs mostly, and then our psoas and our deep glute rotator. So we're really going to be working on helping you open further ranges of motion in your turnout, in your spinal flexion, and in your legs too, and especially your hamstrings. So these are areas that dancers tend to get really tight in sometimes, or they're areas where we need lots of flexibility, right? In the spine, we want good turnout, we want nice flexibility through the legs. But sometimes, no matter how much we stretch, we don't always make the progress we want. So sometimes we need to add in a little extra ingredients of myofascial release. So that's what we'll be doing today. We're going to give your body a lot of deep release opportunities. So we'll be working with some trigger points with the balls, and then I'll be showing you how you can actually use foam rolling as a great way to prime your body to stretch more and to even get you a little deeper in your stretches, which you'll understand what I mean when we get into it. Sometimes stretching isn't always the answer for everything. I know as dancers, a lot of the time when we grew up, always just like, oh, you're sore? Stretch. Oh, you need to get higher kicks? Stretch. You know, you're in pain? Stretch. Like, stretching always seems to be the kind of go-to thing, which it can be often, but what we often aren't taught is the power of getting the muscle and the fascia that surrounds it to release, to open. Because it doesn't matter how much you try pulling and pulling and pulling on a muscle, if it is just tight, if it is tense, if there is like chronic stress held in the body, it's just gonna be that much harder to pull your body into more openness. So sometimes we need to approach it from a gentler, non-doing way. So you'll notice a lot of the moves that we're about to do are going to be very still, very little movement at all, but they'll be able to give you a profound release in some of the muscles that really affect, you know, how much you can stretch, how much you can open through your body. And it's a lot of little muscles that you might not even be aware are even in your body or that big of a player. So let's just get into it and I'll show you more what I mean. Myofascial release, trigger point, rolling out, self-massage is one of my favorite practices that helps me feel just limber, just open and supported and flexible without, you know, I'm not stretching hours of the day, but I definitely feel my flexibility is there when I need it to dance, and then I'm not as sore later afterwards with doing this. So, can't wait to share with you guys. I'm going to be using my phone to just keep track of time because it's real easy to get lost in the sauce with this kind of self-massage, and you'll know what I mean when we get into it. So grab your water and let's put all of your props to the side for a second. I just want you to check in with your body, okay? So before we've even done anything, right? Let's just take a little butterfly, see how it's going. All right, notice like what's happening in your hips, how your hip flexors feel, you know, how open are your knees right now. Just noticing, no judgment. And then bring your legs out in front of you too. And just take a little stretch towards those feet and just notice How's everything feeling? Where are you feeling the stretch? How are your hamstrings doing? Do they feel really open, or do they feel kind of like, especially if this is your first time doing a forward fold today? So just noticing. And then let's flip over onto our stomachs and take a little cobra here. So just notice how you feel in your body without having done any stretching yet. A little tight, a little sore. So what we're gonna start with is rolling out. So I love rolling out, not only because it feels good for your muscles, so let's start on that left side, getting the hamstring, but it's actually a really great way to get the fascia, which is the connective tissue that surrounds every single muscle fiber in your body, to be in a more fluid state. So if you haven't heard of the fascia before, I would love to share more with you about it, because if our fascia isn't healthy, if our fascia can't release, we are not going to be healthy or be able to release. So we need to work with the tissue that surrounds our muscles if we want our muscle fibers to be able to have more movement and more length and more flexibility. So just getting into that left side. You can even put that right leg on top of the left if you want a little more weight. This is also a great thing to do if you are struggling with any hamstring tears, but you still want to release tightness in your hamstrings. So now let's shift a little bit to the outside, but still on the back of the leg, kind of at that corner, back corner of your leg. Not quite on your IT band. All right, and then let's roll to the front. So notice that we're not going to roll directly on the IT band, because that is a tendon, not a muscle. It does not want to be rolled on. So now let's get this quad of the left side, pulling your core in. And if you find a spot along the way that feels really tight, go ahead and hold it there for a moment. And breathe. Slowly keep moving. Getting into that left side. Ooh, yeah, I'm feeling that quad today. So you can close your eyes here and go into a more meditative state as you really start dropping into your body. Now we're going to try and get that inner thigh area. So, bringing the roller inside of your leg here. Ooh, yes. And then just rolling back and forth. Oh, yeah. I'm going to have to slow it down here. So, there's a point where it feels like, ooh, yeah, that is a little painful. Just maybe ease off just a bit and return to the breath. Moving nice and slow. This practice is also really, really beneficial for any of my dancers who are hypermobile. If you're hypermobile, sometimes especially what you don't need is more stretching in your life. This is a great way to, again, relieve tension and soreness and tightness in the body without putting more stretch and strain onto your joints. So let's just flip around and get that hamstring one more time. Left side hamstring. And cross that right leg over if you want. All right, then move that out of the way. Now let's take a look at our legs. Okay, so I'm looking, my left leg is further ahead of my right leg. I don't know if you guys can see that just from rolling out. So let's take a stretch over too again, and now notice the difference. So I definitely feel that my body wants to lean over to the left side more because there's more ease there, where my right is still feeling a little bit tight. And we didn't even stretch at all. All right, let's do that right side. So, getting into that hamstring. So you really want to think about your whole leg just being totally relaxed, surrendering to gravity entirely. Let those muscles just melt over that leg. Also be a good upper body workout like this. Drop it down, push back. All right, let's move to that kind of corner here just before it becomes the IT band. Flipping onto your stomach, onto that quad. Oh yeah. It's like you're taking a forearm plank with your upper body. So just let your body guide you here to what feels good, what area needs to be released. Let it guide you with how slow or how fast to move. Move into that inner thigh area. So bringing the roller here, and you'll have to spread your legs a little bit wider. Get back here, ball. Close your eyes, breathe into the body. Especially through any places that feel tight, keep the rest of your body relaxed, like your jaw and your shoulders. Ooh, yes. All right, let's roll onto the back and just hit that hamstring one more time. Right hamstring. All right, let's take that out. Take that forward fold again. So, hopefully you're feeling more ease through the back of the legs, especially since the hamstrings tend to be the tightest. Now let's get into some of our deep rotator muscles. So the muscle that we're really looking to release today is called the piriformis. So come onto your back. This piriformis goes right over our sacroiliac joint, or not joint, nerve. This big nerve that goes from our sacrum down through the legs. And sometimes if this muscle is too tight, from working it with all the turnout we're doing, it can cause a lot of sciatica pain. So if you deal with sciatica, this will hopefully help remedy that too. So first of all, without the balls, bring your feet together and let your knees drop open. Again, just noticing, taking like a mental screenshot, noticing, all right, how much openness do I feel? Do I feel tight? Where do I feel tension? And then bring your legs back up. Lifting the hips to place the ball. If you have two, you can place them both one under each butt cheek, but if not, if you just have one, just place it under your right. And then you're gonna let your right knee fall open to the side, keeping your left parallel. So you want the ball to be kind of right in the center of your booty muscle, but not on bone. So find a, ooh, yes. Find a spot that feels good. Maybe hurts a little, hurts so good. And then you just bring your hands to your belly and just breathe here. So diving into that trigger point, fully just let your muscles drape over that ball. Let everything melt. Let all the muscles surrounding your hip and in your glutes relax. Here, we'll spend 2 minutes here, which will be plenty of time for our muscles and fascia to really melt in. So if you want to take a moment to shift around and see if you can find another spot in your glute. Ooh. If you're a dancer, especially if you're a ballerina, oh, this will probably be really potent for you. So always trying to mostly be on muscle and not directly on bone. Again, just trying to let your leg be limp. Totally surrender to gravity and stay with your breath. And when you feel that a spot is done, you can keep shifting around, just moving your hips a little bit to move that ball around in the muscle. And see if you can find any other spots that feel like, ooh, it hurts so good. And then do your best to really let that knee drop to the floor. I just did a booty band workout yesterday. I was using a lot of outer glute muscle and turnout, so wow. Oh, this is, you guys will have to let me know in the comments if this got you good. So moving around any more that you need, finding new spots. Oh wow, my whole ass. Alright, one last breath into that muscle. And then using your hand to help get that leg back up, remove the ball. And then let's do that left side. So letting that left knee drop open. Oh yeah, finding that sweet spot. Ooh, not so sweet. So you might feel that your muscles, with that pressure, they might all of a sudden clench up and try to resist it and like activate. So you need to talk to your body and be like, hey girl, hey, it's all right. We can relax. This is good. And really use your breath to communicate to the body that it is okay to relax. It is safe to release. Oh, my ass. Okay, starting this timer here. Okay. are someone who does ballet a lot, if you do this before class, like before you start barre, your turnout is gonna be even better. I promise you that. This is coming from someone who did Royal Academy of Dance for years and years and years. Living that ballet bunhead life. I wish that I had known this before. Because truly, if our deep rotator muscles are locked up and tight and tense, they're not going to be able to work properly. And for some deep muscles, like the piriformis and these really deep rotator muscles that are even below our glute muscles, there's not very many stretches that can actually reach those muscles. So unless we get in there with some trigger point, they never really get any release. So, yeah, that's why. Oh, wow, I'm feeling it, you guys. I hope you are too. So if you need to shift to a new spot and find a new, yeah, go for it. Let your body guide you. Alright, and then gently bring the knees back up. So if you have 2 balls, we're going to place them back under, and now do both knees open at a time. Ooh, yeah, there it is. There it is. Wow, so notice here, is one side tighter than the other? Does one side feel, do you need to have your balls in 2 slightly different places, side to side? Let's breathe here for a moment. Breathe into the pain. Breaths here. Awesome, then use your hands to bring your knees up, remove the balls. Ooh, now let's see where we're at without them. So, hopefully you're feeling a difference too in how open you feel. So you need to come up into our butterfly. Wow, for me, I already feel so much more open in this area here. I feel like my knees can drop open a little bit more. It's good stuff. So now, saved the best for last. We're going to be releasing our psoas. So this will also help with your hips being more open too and releasing some of that hip flexor tension that you may be feeling. So releasing the psoas, which is a hip flexor muscle that goes from our lower spine here, it connects to the back of our body, goes through the center, reattaches at our hip bone here, and goes all the way down to the inside of our femur bone. So it connects our upper body to our lower body, and it is responsible for getting our legs up. So anything that's moving the leg in a flexion, that is the psoas. It does so much work and it can get so tight. It really holds a lot of our emotions too and our stress. So if the psoas is tight, it's gonna be harder for you to do like really nice back bendy arches, because you might just feel like, oh, this tightness in the front body, or you just can't release as much. If your psoas is tight because of, stress, tension, again, it's one of those muscles that are really deep, so it's really hard to stretch. There's not a lot of great psoas stretches, so the best way to release it is with trigger point massage. But once you release that, you'll be able to find more openness, because if it's really tight, it's going to shorten. It's going to pull on this low back here and pull you from here into here. So if you find that you have a really sway back and your hip flexors are really, really tight all the time, and you don't have the best, you feel like you can only get this far and you can't ever you might have a tight psoas. So what we're going to do, coming down, we'll start with the right side. So you're going to get this ball in here, find your hip, and then anywhere pretty much along from here all the way up to here is fair game. You're going to have to let your body show you. So go ahead and roll onto that ball. So you can stay up on your forearms if you want, or come down, make a little pillow for yourself with your hands. And breathe into your low back here. Keep the breath down in the body. So I'm gonna leave it up to you guys if you want to find stillness here, or if you need to kind of move around a little bit like this and find that spot. Once you find it, you'll probably know. You'll be like, oh, aha. So that's when you need to stay there and breathe and gently encourage that muscle with your breath to soften. I'm going to go for 5 minutes because this is so good. And sometimes the psoas can be a little tricky to find at first. So I'm going to give you guys plenty of time to explore and give it that release. So really try to relax your shoulders here. Breathe into the lower body. Keep your jaw relaxed. And stay present with any emotions or any thoughts that come up. If your mind starts to wander, bring your awareness down into the body. Sometimes when we release this muscle, because it tends to hold so much of our stress, it can almost bring up an emotional release just as much as a physical one. Alright, so we're about halfway through, so if you need to shift around and find a new spot, that's fine. Like I said, anywhere from here, down here, into this hip, right here, all the way down, even towards your pubic bone, all of that is fair game. Just depends what your body is telling you it wants. breathing. One thing I will say, if you have really painful periods every month, I used to get extremely painful periods every month, like terrible cramps. And once I started doing this regularly, it went away. So this muscle does also go over the uterus. So if it is really tight, it is going to put pressure on that. So same thing like with the piriformis going over the sciatic nerve. If it's really tight, it can cause issues with the things beneath it. So that's why releasing these deep, deep muscles that are difficult to stretch is so important, not only to help you access more freedom in your movement, but just to release more pain in your body. All right, let's switch over to the left side. Under that left. And let's begin being gentle, staying open, staying curious. You might notice a difference side to side in how you feel or where you feel tight. About halfway through this side, so keep breathing, keep exploring around. Trust your body to show you what it needs. Keep breathing. more breaths here. And we'll take that ball out. All right, taking a Sphinx pose here, drawing your elbows back and heart forwards. And then coming down, bringing your hands to your ribs and inhale up, taking a cobra. So just notice how you feel now versus that first cobra we did. For me, I feel a lot more open through that lower spine area in the front of my hips to really bend. All right, let's take a child's pose. Inhale to come up. All right, my friends, so that was our short and sweet self-care, self-massage. I hope that this really showed you the possibilities of working with self-massage and working with the fascia, that you don't always have to only stretch to find more openness and more looseness and ease in the body. So please, after this, make sure you drink lots of water, and please be kind and compassionate to yourself, especially in working with the psoas. And I'll link a bunch of videos that I have below for psoas, fascia, turnout, spine mobility, all of these things, but especially for the psoas, it truly holds a lot of our stress. It tends to hold our tension. So if the rest of the day you notice yourself feeling irritated or aggravated or stressed or emotional, or you're not quite sure why, just know that it's part of the process of releasing, that your body's releasing what it doesn't need. You might feel really tired and sleepy after a practice like this. You might find yourself yawning a lot. There's a lot of different things. Or you might feel really blissful the rest of the day. But thank you for joining me today, and I will see you in the next class.